Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening to whichever part of the world everyone is tuning in from. This session today, brought to you by EduTV, is to honor Dr. Manmohan Singh, a visionary leader, an economist, and former Prime Minister of India. I'm your host, Divyanshu of Class 12 from Delhi Public School, Bangalore East, and joined with me is my co-host.
I am Tamanna Chaudhary, a student of class 11th of KIIT World School Gurugram, and our guest today is Mr. Robinder Sachdev, who is the president of Image India Institute.
Today, as we mourn the passing of Dr. Manmohan Singh, we also must take a moment to celebrate a life that transformed the course of our nation. Dr. Singh wasn't just a man of policies or papers. He was the quiet force behind some of the most pivotal moments in India's modern history. His journey from a small village in Punjab to becoming one of the most respected leaders in the world is nothing short of inspirational. Let us go back to the year 1991, a year when India faced one of its worst economic crises. We were on the brink of bankruptcy. Our reserves were drying up, and the future seemed bleak. It was Dr. Manmohan Singh, then our finance minister, who stepped up when the nation needed him most. With his calm demeanor and unmatched expertise, he introduced reforms that didn't just save us, they redefined us. He opened India's economy to the world, slashed trade barriers, and invited foreign investment, all while ensuring that the benefits would reach the common man. His vision gave us a modern, competitive economy, creating opportunities for millions. Think about it, the booming IP sector, the rise of Indian entrepreneurs on the global stage, and the rapid growth of our middle class. All of this can be traced back to his bold decision during those challenging times. And let's not forget his contributions on the global stage. He believed in building bridges, not walls. His work on the Indo US nuclear deal wasn't just about energy security, it was about positioning India as a key global player. It wasn't easy, and he faced criticism, but he stood firm because he believed it was the right thing for the country. Yet, amidst all his accomplishments, Dr. Manmohan Singh's humility and integrity stood out as his defining trait. He often said, I am a small person who has been given extraordinary responsibilities. His life exemplified the power of quiet determination and intellect over the noise of rhetoric. Dr. Singh showed us that leadership isn't about noise, it's about results. It's about putting the nation first, even if it means making tough decisions. His life is a reminder that true greatness often comes wrapped in humility. As we say goodbye to this extraordinary man, let us come to keep his legacy alive. Let us work for an India that is progressive, inclusive, and just the India he had envisioned. Dr. Manmohan Singh may no longer be with us, but his contribution will guide us for generations to come. Today, we won't just mourn the loss of a leader, we celebrate the life of a man who gave his all for his country.
Now, I would like to ask you a few questions, sir. How do you think Dr. Manmohan Singh's leadership shaped India's role in global politics?
Thank you very much. Firstly, I really appreciate Pranav and EduTV for setting this up so immediately, one. Secondly, I so much salute and appreciate the fact that, uh, grade 11 and grade 12 students are kind of, hosting this program. This discussion speaks to their interest and also speaks to, the power of ideas. So a great, a great step you guys are taking. And of course, I guess your viewers would also be, again, similarly young children in their age groups, which is an amazing thing. One. Second, could you please repeat the question?
Sure, sir. My question is, how do you think Dr. Manmohan Singh's leadership shaped India's role in global politics?
Thank you very much. I think Dr. Manmohan Singh's leadership, I'll break or I'll point out two landmark, uh, phases. One is Divanshu has already mentioned in his eulogy to Dr. Singh, and one is that in the 90s, the financial crisis that India was facing, and the second is the US-India nuclear deal. I'll come to both of them. See, India standing in world affairs, becomes heavier, heftier, the better our economic growth is, basically, and our human development indices are. What 91 did, the reforms of 91 did, they opened up and, created environment and fostered an environment for India's growth, right? And overall growth, more foreign investment, some deregulations, whatever it be. A lot more could have been done, maybe, but a lot was done. So all of those things kind of aided India's, momentum going forward. And when you have momentum going forward, the world looks at you, looks up at you, right? So that was the first phase. The second was, sure, I would say for global affairs, right? The US-India nuclear deal. Uh, there was a huge deficit of trust between the US and India ever since our founding in 47. We had trust for some years, then distrust, and then we were opposing camps and all, due to which America-India relations could not cross a certain barrier. We could not have technology transfers of the kinds we needed. We were under sanctions off and on, all of that. The US-India civil nuclear deal, I would say, was not so much for energy, as I think also you mentioned. That's a very, very wise and a very correct thing to look at it. It was about building trust between the US and India. Sure, I mean, nuclear energy and nuclear business for America was an objective of the Americans, no doubt, to some extent. But that deal transformed US-India relations totally. It shifted the gears of US-India relations. Our cooperation started expanding in other areas, including defense and more strategic affairs, etc., etc. And when our relations with the US grew, of course, concurrently, our economy was also, ramping up. So the combination of these two things, again, uh, enhanced India's image and role in the uh, global theater, be it in global geopolitics or in world economics. So I would mark out these two phases, the financial reforms of 91 that he undertook, which, helped India's role in world affairs enhanced. And second is much more equally, or perhaps much more, I would say, is US-India nuclear deal, because the benefits of that deal we are seeing now, and going forward, the benefits will be much more. Had the nuclear deal not happened in 2008 or 9, US-India relations would not have been where they are. Okay.
Thank you so much, sir, for such a beautiful answer.
Sir, so as a student of humanities myself, and as someone who wants to do economics after I'm completed with my board exam, I am always interested in knowing how easy it was or how insightful it was to work with such a big economist or a big world leader. So my question to you is, could you share some insights on your experiences working closely with Dr. Manmohan Singh on key international projects?
Sure. Thank you. I think I worked not with Dr. Singh, but during his times, and of course worked. I mean, engaged with him definitely.
Yes, sir.
It was an honor on two broad areas in that phase. In those years, I used to live in the United States.
Yes, sir.
I had a technology business, but I also was a co-founder of a lobby of Indian Americans who were working for closer America-India relations. I was a co-founder of that.
Oh, yes, sir.
So what we did and where we found interactions with Dr. Manmohan Singh was that when we would have delegations of governors of states of America, a governor delegation, or
Hmm.
members of the US Congress and senators coming to India. So along with them, I would be meeting up with Dr. Singh, and I would be at times moderating the discussions between the
Hmm.
governors and Prime Minister Singh, or we would have CEOs delegations. So, again, meeting with Dr. Singh, because you know what, the reason people want to meet, let's say, a prime minister or the highest official on the ground is they want to seek a certain level of comfort and trust that if
Yes,
we
sir.
do business or if we engage with this country, their government is positively aligned with our country, so that when I make some investments, my investments will not run into trouble. Or if there are
Yes.
any troubles with my investments, My government can request the Indian government, and the Indian government will respond and help me out, right? That's the big picture
Yes, sir.
for the CEOs global when they meet. So moderating those discussions. So that was one phase, one part. I found him always very, very, open, acceptable, and in fact, he was a technocrat.
Mhm.
So, kind of coming up with pragmatic thoughts on what the discussions were. That was one phase.
Yes, sir.
The second phase of my interactions with him, or the second block, would be for the US-India nuclear deal. We were there in the US, so I mean, our committee and our people, we would, meet up with members of the US Congress, lobby with them that why the deal is good for America, because
Yes, sir.
you have to sell the deal for them, right?
Mhm.
They're not concerned with India, let's say, right? And similarly, here in India, there was opposition to the nuclear deal, and including from the BJP and the communists. They were
Ah,
both opposing the nuclear deal.
yes, sir.
So we kind of would bridge communications, have meetings in Delhi, in
Mhm.
Washington, D.C., etc. So in those phases, when I met him, he was once again very, very mindful and very appreciative of the diaspora also, actually,
Yes, sir.
of the diaspora and the role of public diplomacy. You're talking
Mhm.
humanities. So this is what I was doing was public diplomacy. I'm not part of the government. I'm a private individual. I
Yes,
run
sir.
a think tank, etc. So he was very, and I would say not only him, he passed on this kind of, I think, mindset to his administration also in the, let's say, in the foreign ministry, because
Mhm.
I would often exchange, often interact with the joint secretary and secretary of foreign ministry, because in order to meet the prime minister, you have to first go have a discussion with these guys as to what you're going to be talking, the
Yes,
homework
sir.
and all, agenda, everything has to be planned out. And so his officials were absolutely very welcoming and adjusting. In fact,
Mhm.
the official we met the most in that phase was Dr. S. J. Shankar.
Oh,
He was the joint secretary in charge of Americas in our foreign ministry.
yes, sir.
So I would say that, so in that phase also, meeting with him, a very soft person. He did not,
Mhm.
soft spoken, of course, soft spoken, soft person, known, simple person, I would say.
Yes, sir.
And with his passing, I think an era has passed. He
Yes.
was born in 1932, was around what, now 92 years of age. This is the era of, let's say, my parents, they are passing.
Ah,
So in
yes.
that sense,
Yes.
that era of people of those years who lived through the partition, like Pranav's
Mhm.
parents also, right? Who lived through
Yes.
the partition and then to India, that era of elders is now passing.
Yes, sir.
I would
Sir,
like to
so I,
also just I would like to welcome our third and very young guest, Myra Maggu from Gyanshri School, Noida.
Thank you, sir.
Oh,
Great.
I was at Gyanshri a few days ago for
Okay.
their, Pranav, you would know, for their annual
Yes, yes.
debate invitational. Yeah, thank you.
In fact, Gyanshri's principal, Mrs. Priyanka Bhatkoti and Mr. Robin Sachdev are from same school. Robin Sachdev sir did
oh,
her nursery and
that's
KG
interesting.
from Convent of Jesus Mary, Dehradun.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Oh.
Myra, can you just introduce yourself? What you are doing?
Yes, sir. Sir, I'm Myra. I'm from Gyanshri School, grade 8. And it's an
Okay.
honor to be here and give a tribute to the Dr. Manmohan Singh, the former PM
Okay.
of India. Thank you, sir.
Over to you,
Oh,
Divyanshu.
Sir, I would just like to ask one follow-up if you're willing to listen.
sure.
Uh, Sir, so you said that Dr. Singh himself was a very soft-spoken, caring man. So, do you think that him being soft-spoken or him being caring actually, helped boost the progress of our policies? So, say when the U.S. Indo-nuclear talks, him actually being a person who's willing to understand what the other side is giving out, did it help in the fact for the US to see that this was a person who was working for the best interests of both parties and not just, trying to make a profit for himself?
Interesting question. See, when any world leaders negotiate,
Yes, sir.
they negotiate on behalf of their country and their self-interest.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So even if, let's say, Dr. Singh was simple spoken, it seemed, soft spoken, it seemed, I would say he was a man of steel, right? For what the country has to do.
Yes,
Okay. And yes, when leaders meet at the top level, let's say when he was meeting Obama mostly, and Bush also, Bush
sir.
second. Sure, in that interaction, it was good. They had a very good chemistry. I mean, Dr. Singh was educated in Cambridge, so and he had worked in the IMF, etc. So he was a very polished persona and dignified person, dignified. Okay. So that being said, yeah, sure. But the bottom line is that he represents any leader, the core, cold interests of a country, and those are not negotiated away. But as far as the Americans perceiving that Dr. Singh was working for a win-win, yes, it is a win-win. But any good deal, and you should learn from Trump, maybe, by the way, not learn, but see, any good deal is one where both sides are left a bit dissatisfied. I cannot have
Yes, sir.
what I fully want, and neither can America have what it fully wants. Any good
Mhm.
deal is that equilibrium, right? Uh, so yes, so that's what the US-India deal was. But I think in the sum total, the US-India nuclear deal was hugely a win for us. The American, for them, one win was okay, India's strategic partnership and long term,
Yes, sir.
as a counter to China and America
Mhm.
and the Indian market, huge Indian market, right? And also for them, the subtext was that their nuclear industry, GE, which is a joint venture with Hitachi, GE Hitachi, and
Yes, sir.
Westinghouse, they're two large nuclear reactor manufacturers, that they would have export business and they would export nuclear power plants to India, which would run into tens of billions of dollars. That was also
Yes,
their
sir.
sub interest.
Thank you so much, sir, for bearing with me and my questions. And now I would like to pass it on to Myra to ask you the third question for today.
I think third question we can start with Miss Tamanna Chaudhary.
Thank you, sir. Um, Sir, I would like to ask you a question that, in your opinion, what are the key lessons that India can take forward from Dr. Singh's policies in today's global scenario?
Deep question, tough question. What can be the lessons we can take from his leadership? I think is that one key lesson one could take is that stand up for what you believe in. Again, harking back to the US-India nuclear deal, the Bharatiya Janata Party people in India were opposed to it. The communists were opposed to it. The matter came down to a no confidence motion in the parliament against his leadership, right? Had he lost that no confidence motion, his prime ministership would have gone. So he wagered his prime ministership on the idea and the principle that he thought the US-India civil nuclear deal is good for the long-term benefit of India. He stood with that, right? There was a huge pressure. So that's one amazing example, come to think of it, right?
Yes, sir.
Uh, the other example from his leadership that we can take is, I mean, in a sense, if you see overall, and that's the reality, you have to adjust. And that's what his criticism was oftentimes, that, he would yield to, he was leading a coalition government, right? So that he would yield to pressures from the coalition partners and all. Uh, and within the Congress party also, there were questions that, the power center was somewhere and whatever. So you have to adjust. I think that's also a lesson of leadership. And you have to keep walking the path that you want to walk, but you have to adjust as you go along with faith. I think these are two lessons from his leadership. There would be several more, but these two come to my mind.
Thank you so much, sir.
Sir,
And we can have a. Oh, yeah, please, Tamanna, carry on.
no, I'm Myra. So I like to ask another question. So what I believe is that Dr. Manmohan Singh, he spoke very few words, but his silence, it actually had volume in it, right? So, considering that you had personal interactions with him, so if you're comfortable sharing, so any incident you'd like to share which actually talks a lot about his character, like, and his personality, which is not up to the world right now.
Thank you. Firstly, it's a pleasure to be talking to an eighth grader. You're in class eight?
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Awesome. It's a pleasure to be interacting and wonderful to hear your question. That's amazing. Awesome. Uh, okay, yeah. He used to speak less, right? Yeah, that is there. Mm, his style was soft and simple, yes. Amongst in my interactions, I remember one incident. Once
Yes.
I was meeting him, I asked him, and this was about Pakistan. Okay, because you see, we were in America, so we were working on to promote US-India relations in nuclear deal, and also we were trying to push down Pakistan in America. America's aid, F-16s, and this and that, which they were giving to Pakistan. We were trying to pressure the American policymakers to do less of that and stop that. Uh, so when I would meet, yeah, him, that Pakistan would also be a topic of discussion. So
Yes, sir.
once I said, given where Pakistan is, and this is I'm talking way back in 2008 or 9 or 10 or something like that, that Pakistan should be placed under trusteeship. Now, the concept of trusteeship, maybe you guys can just read up, is in international affairs, is that when a country has failed, it was during British times, colonial times. You
Yes,
put,
sir. I've read of it.
right, great. So you put a country under trusteeship or whatever. Yeah. So I said that, do you think Pakistan, time has come to place Pakistan under trusteeship, under the UN's trusteeship? He was
Yes.
surprised. And he said, no, 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 we should not think that, we should not comment that. Pakistan, I have hope that they will, come over this, what they're doing. Because, and also his point was, if we appeal for those times, right, that Pakistan, the UN take over the trusteeship of Pakistan, it would mean that we would be, opening the path for foreign powers to be in our neighborhood, even if the UN, right? And we would not want that. So that was very interesting, talking of, being a
Yes.
man of steel or your national interest, right? I mean,
Yes.
I did not think of that. I thought, okay, maybe, Pakistan is such a problem child. Why don't we lobby? Because what we did a
Hmm.
lot, and now in the US is with the American Congress and think tanks, we push ideas. So why not push this idea and bring it up that Pakistan is a failed state, put it under UN trusteeship? That to me sounded logical. If it could happen, it would never have happened, but why not?
Oh,
Okay.
yes.
But I was surprised and it was very interesting to see his view. And, that's what makes a leader, that they look at a bigger picture.
Hmm.
Yes, it's all about his perspective about how like he actually saw the things. Yes, sir.
Yes.
Thank you so
Yes.
much, sir, for answering.
I would like to add one thing. Myra,
Yes,
when
sir.
Mr. Robin Sadeva was of your age and my school senior, and when he was in eighth and ninth, he used to organize quiz competitions for all the school students. I still remember. So how he's very truly said how a leader is made. From beginning, Ravinder sir was very a good leader.
Oh.
Hmm.
So now
Pranav,
I yes,
Pranav has such beautiful memories. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Yeah, I mean, the point is, I was interested in world affairs, I think, right from childhood. So that's
yes,
where somewhere I've ended up. So it depends where you are. And Pranav used to be there. We used to live in the same neighborhood. We used
yes,
to go in
Oh,
the same school bus. His
yes.
father used to work in the same defense factory in which my father worked.
Ordnance
that's
So,
nice.
factories,
ordnance factory.
ordnance factories, Dehradun. Yes.
Yeah.
So I think thank you so much, Robin sir, for helping us, for helping
Mhm.
the students. I will also request Mr. Robinder. So I think you are already in talk with Gyanshri School. I think some student from Delhi Public School, Bangalore East, and student from KIT World School, Gurgaon. If you can offer them some internship, they can write to you. The principals can write to you for that. And I'm sure It will be a very good experience for all the students. Thank you so much, uh, Robin sir and Dr. Manmohan Singh. He's my hero. And I would like to thank Myra, Divanshu, Tamanna
Thank you, sir.
for coming up in such a short notice, and you have taken an initiative. I'm sure all three of you will do very well in life because you are taking initiatives. Robin sir, I would like to have your advice to all the students across the world who are watching EduTV, sir.
Well, thank you. I mean, no advice is that it's a journey. Be curious. I think the bottom line is be curious in whichever field you have some interest, and be like a rabbit, keep digging in that hole, whatever. Be curious. I think curiosity is and be curious and be compassionate.
Yes,
The world is not so bad, not so cruel
right.
as we see in television screens every day. Yes, the world is very dark. There are
Hmm.
wars, there are terrorism, there are dark forces doing ugly things, evil things. All that is there. But on the whole, the world is not such a bad, in such a bad shape. Uh, be compassionate. Show your love and kindness. Be kind to each other. I think that's the bottom, a few things I would love to say. And I'm really, really, truly delighted to get a chance to speak to you folks and of and Pranav, uh, I'll be more than happy to figure out we can plan out something specifically productive, learning based, uh, and real life case studies based,
Sure.
which these kids can engage if they have interest.
I'm sure they have, sir. They have. And they will definitely, I think their schools will apply to your organization, Image India. In fact, I have also, Robin, organized a lot of cleanliness campaigns in Delhi, not Delhi, pan India. I also went once and we broomed at All India Institute of Medical Sciences in
Yes.
Delhi. And it was a lot of, stress relief for me, Ravinder sir. Thank you so much. I would like to log out with Ravinder sir's mantra, happy curiosity. Bye bye.